Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your host, Jeremy Qualls. My co-host, Tate Matthews, is on assignment this week, and with us is the AD of Page High School, Charles Rathbone. Coach Bone, thank you so much for showing up today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Rathbone and the Page High School are the winners of the Division II Cup this year, the Directors Cup, which we'll talk about shortly. Coach, let's talk about real quick the big event that we had this past week, the WCS Sports Conference Wilco's. It's the first time out of the box ever trying something like this, an ever-encompassing award show showcasing all of our top athletes, the three top athletes mainly, from all 22 sports across the district.
Well, I just thought it was an awesome event. I think, again, thank you for putting that on. I mean, I know you put in hours of work, but to see these kids all dressed up, walking down the red carpet, they love the red carpet, and stopping in front of the cameras and being interviewed, and parents, the look on the parents' face, it was just a lot of pride. And one thing I noticed, all the athletes, we got to pick out our own tuxes, so they made an attempt to wear their school colors, which I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was fantastic. It was so nice. And I can't say enough to Street Tuxedo about allowing us to come and use their business and donated every single tux. A lot of money went in there, a lot of effort went in there on their part. We're forever thankful for Street Tuxedo for doing that. But like you said, when I went in to pick up my tux, that's all they talked about. They specifically mentioned Paige and two guys coming in and wanting a red vest and the other guy wanting the blue bow tie. And I think that adds to the event, adds to their own personal flair to the Wilco's.
Yeah, and that's, as athletic directors, we try to give a platform to be successful. And anytime you see that school pride, start to shine through, I mean, it's really, makes us proud. You're proud to be their administrator, their ADs, and really appreciative of the kids, just wanting to do that for their school.
For those that don't know, the Wilco's was our first ever WCS Sports Conference Sports Awards. And what we did, we took the 22 sanctioned events from the TSSAA, and all the athletic directors voted upon and nominated the top three in each of the 22 categories. And those three finalists were the ones that got to attend the Franklin Theater. And this event was presented by Jackson Life. Unbelievable sponsorship on behalf of everybody in the Williamson County area. Delic, Dr. Matt Harris, like I said, Street Tuxedo earlier, Jackson Life, Copy Solutions. None of this could have been done without their help in the event. Adidas and Matthews Team Sports to make this an extremely special night for those kids. So what we're going to do real quick, we're going to run down of those categories and the winners. And the first category was the girls cross country, and the winner of that was Callie Coggins of Indy. She, at that event, didn't get to attend because she was actually at the TSSAA Spring Fling State Championships that night. On the boys cross-country side, Paige scored their first victory with Colin Lamb. Talk about Colin real quick.
Well, Colin, he's a great runner. Obviously, runs cross-country and track, and he, today I actually got to talk to him before I came out here today, and he's organizing a pre-workout for the kids. So that kind of shows you his character. He's serious about running. He's serious about winning. He's a competitor, and he hates to lose, and he's wanting to go ahead and get started and run. But one thing I'll say about all the athletes at Page is they're academics first, and he's very good in the classroom, very good with the teachers and just the younger kids, and very proud of him. Absolutely.
And then on the volleyball side, this was an extremely competitive group, if you will. You had Jenny Roy, Brentwood, Lindsay Knotts, Ravenwood, and Ashley Peck of Page. And Page strikes again. And a very big victory there. If you think about the volleyball competitiveness that we have at the Williamson County level, it's second to none. Ashton Peck, MTSU signee, gets the nod.
Yeah, and again, another good academic student, and she is committed to MTSU. She signed with MTSU, and she's just an unmatched work ethic. She's constantly volleyball. She's 100% volleyball. She's always in the gym, hitting one way or the other. And I'm sure the other two girls are as well. Like you said, just to see those athletes on stage and competing, and for Ashton to get the nod over those two is a great honor for her.
Absolutely. Boys golf side of things is another strong category here at WCS. Nolan Ray and Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith being the state individual runner-up, and Nolan Ray committed and signed full ride to UT to play golf. Gets the nod in the boys golf side of things. Once again, that's a very competitive group. Two outstanding athletes. On the girls golf side of things, Haley Smith of Independence High School wins the nod over Sarah Klein Cracked and Ann Catherine Blackman of Ravenwood. On the girls soccer side of things, Carly Pascal. Now, Carly, Gatorade Tennessee Player of the Year soccer-wise, has been invited to Team USA invites for 17 and under. This girl right here has a bright future in girls soccer. You also had Megan Henry with a nomination there.
And Megan Henry, she's a hard worker. She's just a freshman, I believe, and and she really led the team this year, and she got a great work ethic. And you know, I think it's really cool. Just going back to the other young lady you're talking about, just the for her to represent Williamson County schools and her school in the USA even tryouts or whatever she's going to, it's just phenomenal, and it just kind of shows you the level of athletes that we're talking about in Williamson County.
Absolutely, and that's what this show really showcases. I mean, once we get down to our Athletes of the Year category, you can see the level of athleticism, athletic kids that we have. On the football side, this was probably the hardest category for all the athletic directors. We had so many football players to be nominated, and it only picked 3 out of this group. I mean, we've got an All-American, we have 2 SEC commits, and on the Division II level, Michael Magochi, who was an outstanding player for you guys. You know, you could go on and on. But the final 3 in that category were Deion Sanders of Centennial, Joe Critchlow of Franklin, and Joe Camp of Fairview. Now, Van Jefferson, Emmanuel Hall, both not in this category or in other categories, but Deion Sanders of Centennial gets that nod. Now, I know that you probably didn't play against these guys, but you did play against Joe Camp and Fairview.
Well, I know Deion very well. He actually came out and, you know, he worked with my son hitting one day, and that shows his character. He took his own time to work with my son, and he signed with Furman, I believe.
That's correct.
The kid from Fairview, I mean, we couldn't block him last year. I believe he got nominated as an outside linebacker, defensive end, and just a great athlete. And they got several great athletes at Fairview, but he stood out along with the Zimmerman kid.
Well, there's something that you keep hitting on that is something that we probably didn't talk about enough during the show, is not just the athleticism, but the actual character of these kids, the GPAs that are involved. How many times in the show did they mention a 3.5 or 4.0 or what they made on the ACT? I mean, we have not just good athletes, but overall good people.
Yeah, just great kids, and kids. You know, I'm very selective who I let my kids hang around with, and Deion, I'd trust him in a heartbeat, and along with any of these kids that I know. And it's a powerful thing, because ultimately that's what it's about. It's not about getting a scholarship and going to college and all that stuff. It's about what they're going to do for society in the future, and I believe all these kids are going to do great things.
Well, our next 2 categories is or 2 categories that people probably don't put into the category of sports, but we did have 2 categories, cheer and dance. And on the cheer side, Allie Billington from Page strikes as the winner.
She's one of those students that and one of these athletes that you want your daughter to be like, just a great girl. She transferred to us, you know, her sophomore year. She actually got the 3D award for football for us, which, you know, is do the right things. And she does. She does all the right things. She's just a sweetheart.
And then on the dance side of things, Morgan Stengel of Ravenwood gets the Wilco Award. On the girls' bowling side of things, Marissa Gunthert of Centennial gets the Wilco Award there. And on the boys' bowling side, once again, as we discuss these athletes, you see a common thread here. Cameron Doyle of Brentwood wins the boys bowling. He's ranked #1 in the country bowling right now for Brentwood, and has another year to go in the WCS Sports Conference. Looks very bright future for the Brentwood bowling team. On the boys wrestling side, we had 3 outstanding wrestlers here. Tristan Roa, state champion for Brentwood. Josh Philby, 220-pound class, state champion for Fairview, for Franklin. And then we had Andrew Burchett of Page is nominated, with Josh Philby getting a nod. Andrew, real quick.
Andrew's just, he's going to be probably the most decorated wrestler in Page history by the time he's done. Very good student, had him in class this year. Extremely hard worker, and you know, he wants to work on his regular job in wrestling, and that's what his life is about right now. Just work.
On the girls wrestling side, Jayla Grimes of Summit, once again, here's a common thread, #1 girls wrestler in the state, and she's a freshman. So bright things ahead for the Summit wrestling program. On the boys basketball side, we have Dylan White of Page, Jalen Lawson, Grant Teichman. If you happen to watch Grant Teichman or Jalen Lawson, either one in the state tournament, unbelievable. How can you pick who's better of the 2? Not to discredit Dylan White. Grant Teichman gets the nod for the Wilco and also state tournament first team. Girls basketball side, Jenny Roy, Holly Harris, and Mackenzie Marlin, another Page girl. Jenny Roy there also getting the nod from Brentwood as the district tournament MVP and gets the Wilco for the night. Girls tennis, Mackenzie Marlin, Katie DeWald, Summer Henry, and Julie Wasack of Ravenwood. Julie Wasack goes in that night right before the Wilcos and gets into the doubles state championship game, gets runner-up. Congratulations to her getting the nod on the Wilco for the evening. Boys tennis side of things, Isaiah Polk of Page.
Isaiah, you know, we really thought he was going to win state championship this year. Last year he lost to the eventual state champion in the semis. He got cramped up and dehydrated. This year he got to the Final Four. He beat the guy that beat him last year that won the state championship, and he got injured and struggled in that last match, and he finished fourth in the state or third in the state. But he's just a junior, so he'll have another year back.
And a chance to win the Wilco next year. Sam Fisher from Brentwood ends up getting the Wilco for the boys tennis category. The girls track category. Becca Fox from Page gets the nod, wins the Wilco over Amber Tanner and Callie Cousin, which was a strong field in itself.
Yeah, and Becca's she's a competitor, an AP student that goes out, runs very hard, conditions very hard, really good leader, very good young lady.
Well, speaking of track, Peter Lishner. Now, his sister Mary Lishner won the pole vault state championship this year. Matter of fact, won it going away, 4 feet or above, which is like 2 miles in the high jump and long jump category. But Peter Lishner as well, I think it's the only second brother-sister combination to ever win the state championship in the same year.
Yeah, and it's pronounced Leichner.
Leichner, pardon me.
He made me promise to correct that. But he actually won state championship last year as well, and he went into this last pole vault attempt tied. I can't remember exact height, but tied. The other kid missed it. Peter hit it, and Mary was a pleasant surprise, only a sophomore, and she won the state championship very easily in the pole vault. So hopefully she'll continue to do that for the next 2 years.
Well, Peter did not get the Wilco for the boys track. Emmanuel Hall ended up getting the Missouri commit for football, breaks the WCS Sports Conference record and Centennial record, jumping 6'10" in the high jump and placing runner-up. Whereas the kid from South Haven also jumped 6'10". They both got to 7 feet, and then all of a sudden they both scratched 3 times. So it goes back to who has the least amount of scratches. The kid from South Haven gets the nod for the state championship, but Emmanuel Hall gets runner-up and gets the Wilco for boys track. Baseball, Bryce Denton, Matt Hargraves, and Austin Yance. Paige has another nominee in Austin Yance.
Austin Yance, he's a hard-working kid. He really just lives in the batting cage. He loves baseball, and he had a good season this year. When you look at some of the kids that was nominated, and I'm sure you'll talk about the winner here in just a second, I mean, it was just phenomenal, the level of baseball in the county, and some of the things, you know, I think I remember you saying he's probably going to be drafted somewhere in the top 4 or 5 rounds or something like that. I mean, that's just incredible.
Well, you got Matt Hargraves there from Franklin, who signed a full ride to play at Air Force Academy. You know, that's a prestigious honor in itself. But Bryce Denton right now projected to be the 33rd pick in this year's Major League Baseball draft. Worked out with 6 teams this past weekend. Has one coming up with St. Louis Cardinals. We'll keep our fingers crossed that he becomes a Cardinal for all the St. Louis Cardinal fans. But, yeah, he's got a bright future. He has signed currently with Vanderbilt. Will have a decision on his hands when the draft happens to either take the money, go into the farm system, or go to Vanderbilt. Best of luck to Bryce Denton, who gets the Wilco for the baseball side of things. On the softball side of things, Libby Sugg of Franklin and Peyton Clark from Page is a nominee.
Peyton Clark, she's another sophomore. She'll be a junior. Very dedicated to the craft. She's on all these travel teams and travels around the country playing, goes to all these, I guess they have some sort of ranking system in softball where they go to these tournaments to get ranked, and she had an incredible year for us and did a great job. And
once again, you run up against somebody like Libby Sugg, who signed a full scholarship to play at BYU, that leads Franklin High in their career walks at one. They wouldn't pitch to her, but when they did, also a career home run. So Libby Sugg gets the Wilco for the softball. Boys soccer, Tristan Lonergan wins for Page High School.
Yeah, he's another kid that just commits himself to the sport. He's probably the fastest kid we had at Page. When he runs down the field, he's floating on top of the grass, and he had a lot of scoring opportunities. And our boys soccer team, we had 2 or 3 guys that we could have nominated. Mason Foley, he's up for the John Mayer scholarship this Thursday night. So I mean, we had a lot of guys, but Tristan well deserved, and I'm proud of him.
Well, that completes the 22 categories. We had some other awards that we're going to talk about real quick. The first one that started the evening off was the Coach of the Year award. And if you think about the 3 coaches that were nominated by their peers and voted upon by their peers, pretty impressive list. Will Hester at Ravenwood football has not lost a region game since he's been there for 2 years. State runner-up, loses by 1 to Maryville. And his competition for the evening was Barbara Campbell, who won her 10th state championship, ranked 4th in the country, 61 straight matches won. And then you have Dennis King, head coach of Brentwood High School boys basketball, who broke the 31-year drought of getting the boys boys basketball team from the WCS Sports Conference into the state championship game. only to lose that one almost just like Ravenwood in similar fashion, with a come from behind and then lose at the last second.
Yeah, he's written 2 books too. I didn't know that as well. But Will, I know really well. Just a great guy. Very happy for him. But he's got a long way to go to catch the volleyball coach. That's for real.
Absolutely. Male Athlete of the Year, this is probably the most impressive category of all night. Van Jefferson, the Ole Miss commit, All-American, against Grant Teichman, Joe Critchlow, and Bryce Denton. Van Jefferson gets the nod there. We wish him the best of luck as he is already right now currently headed to Ole Miss. 4-star recruit down there. I hope to see him flourish in the SEC. On the Female Athlete of the Year side, Jenny Roy of Brentwood, Carly Pascal, Madeline Ballard, and Libby Sugg, which is another impressive group, with Jenny Roy getting the nod there, playing basketball at Belmont University. And that brings us to, as you mentioned just a minute ago about the Mayor Builders. Mayor Builders also sponsored our Sportsmanship Award this year, which went to Jackson Sweat, and he also gave up $5,000 for that scholarship. You know, that was pretty amazing on Mayor Builders group side of things to give that money. And we're very appreciative of John Mayer and the Builders Association there. Courage Award, Nick Axon won that. Thanks to Dr. Matt Harris for that award. And with that award, he got a production company to show a video about Nick and his adversity he had to face. We'll be right back in just a second after you see the video.
Courage, the ability and willingness to confront fear, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation.
Well, he started walking at 9 months, and so he's always been very active.
Nick's first word wasn't mom or dad, it was, I'm stuck.
He always kept climbing, and he'd never back down because he didn't know how to back down.
Walked up the stairway and saw him hanging there from the banister, and very calmly had to talk him down off the ledge, but he could get all kinds of places. He couldn't always get out, but he could climb into lots of different places.
We moved from Knoxville. He left some great friends.
We made the move. We got Nick signed up for school, and he started football practice. So we dropped him off that first day, and my wife called me a little bit later in the afternoon and said, the Gators carrying Nick off the field. Do you know what happened?
He just landed funny on his shoulder and broke his scapula.
He ended up going to the doctor, and when they decided it was broken, that sort of put it into football for a little while. And that was devastating to him. After the injury in his sophomore year, he was determined to play as a rising junior, worked through winter workouts really hard. That was the first winter Coach Hester was here.
Nick's first injury occurred before I even was hired at Ravenwood High School during his sophomore season. So when I got here, I just knew of the injury and was getting to know Nick and was seeing him along the rehab process of fighting back his way back to the field. And
it was gung-ho all through spring practice, working really hard. And almost a year to the day, he got hit, fell on his shoulder, went back to the same doctor, and the doctor said, you broke it again. That was going to be the end of his football career. He was crushed. That was the year Coach Hester took everybody to camp, so he didn't go to camp. We backed out of everything because we thought he was done. Fortunately, they figured out that it wasn't actually a break, it was just a bad muscle sprain. Once he found out that it was the muscle sprain and we went through and did all the therapy, he was back at it. It was tough for him because he was playing a lot of JV ball when a lot of his friends were playing on the varsity team. But Coach Hester worked hard with him to get his confidence back, get his skills back, so that he could play, and he did.
Nick Axon is the kid you hope your son grows up to be. He's an All-American guy, excels both in the classroom and on the field. You know, if we took a picture of a Ravenwood football player or what we wanted one to be and put it in the dictionary, you know, that picture would be of Nick Axon, the way he gives him himself, both to his classmates, his teammates, and then to his community. As a senior, you know, Nick was really excited. Obviously the team had a great year the year before. Nick had earned his spot as a starter. First couple of games of the season was just fantastic. Going into the Dixon County game, it was a Thursday night game because it was fall break. And I was doing a lot of traveling, so I told Nick, I said, even though I had made him a promise to be at all the games, I said, this game looked like it was going to be
pretty easy. It's Thursday night. I really can't get home for the game Thursday night, but you know, I'll make sure I'm at all the others. My wife and Will were at the game.
I was supposed to go work at the concession stand. At halftime, I was supposed to report for my second half of the shift, and there was a play was running this way, mumble jumble of players between the sidelines, the standings. I lost sight of where he was.
And I made a deal with Will that he would text me to score, sort of play by play to keep up with what's going on. So I'm driving to the airport, and you know, I get the scores. It's 7-0, 14-0, 21-0, and then I get, we think Nick's hurt.
And then all of a sudden this commotion started on the field, and coaches gathered around, and I was looking for my son out there, and I didn't see him, and I go, wait, where's number 8? Where's number 8? Anybody see number 8?
You know, probably one of the most dramatic or traumatic injuries in my 16 years that I've been a part of. We knew right away that it was pretty bad.
Yeah, he ended up breaking his leg, a tibia fibula fracture.
Then it became all about trying to keep him calm and keep him from getting into shock or anything like that. But you know, it was an unfortunate accident.
He was devastated. He thought that he would never return to playing football again. It would be his spirit that would be tested the most.
It was a devastating injury, but also amazing that they put the rod in his leg, and literally the next day the doctor told him to stand on it. And as soon as he could stand the pain, that he could go home.
The whole part of a team, and the thing that I love about Ravenwood High School and the team that year, you know, the guys were a close group of guys, and they cared for each other, they played for each other. So for those guys to see one of their own out there hurting on the field, knowing that, you know, this was a significant injury, one that was going to cost him, you know, many games, if not his career on the field, it was devastating to everyone. And one of our own was in pain, and they were going to do whatever it took to console them and make them feel better, and then be there along the way back to the field.
So I think he was on 2 crutches for about a week. He dropped 1 crutch after that, and probably 3 or 4 weeks after that, he was walking without crutches at all and running by Christmas. So in less than 3 months, he went back from, you know, a broken leg to he's starting to train again and get back in shape. And he trained fast enough that he actually ran the half marathon in April here in Nashville.
You know, our attitude kind of mirrored Nick's rehab. I mean, we'd had a great year the year before, but we had lost a lot of key pieces. And just like Nick had lost a little bit of the ability to play on the field, our team had lost a little bit of their identity that had graduated away. So as Nick was struggling to get his way back to the field, to get back to 100%, you know, our team was struggling to find their identity. And, you know, I think the team learned a lot from how Nick handled his adversity, because the sign of a true team is how they handle adversity, and football's as closest thing to life as there is, and these guys battled adversity with each other through summer camp and through the preseason practices, and the way that they handled that's what propelled us to go 14-1 and make it to the state championship game.
Seeing Nick overcome all the physical injuries and the emotional scarring that it took to get him to play in the state championship game was tremendous. But I was so proud of the team and him for just keeping that spirit up and staying positive and determined.
It was that much better, the success of the team, but knowing that he was able to come back from injury after injury and be a significant part of their success, I think. Just that's what you want.
Once again, that was Nick Axon winning the Courage Award presented by Dr. Matt Harris. We can't say enough about Dr. Matt Harris, but Coach, as you know, as a football player, going through the injuries that he suffered throughout his career, what kind of hill he had to climb to get back into that game?
Well, and I think Coach Hester said it best in the video. I believe he said something about it's the greatest sport in teaching you about life, and sometimes dealing with injuries teaches you, you know, how to handle better or more important situations later on in your life. And just to see what that kid went through and for him to overcome that and be a contributor was very impressive.
Well, the official rundown of the Wilcos goes as follows. Brentwood High School with 19 nominations, Page High School with 12 nominations, Ravenwood High School 11, Indy 8, Franklin 7, Centennial 5, Fairview 2, and Summit 2. Congratulations to all our nominations. For being in the building and being a Final 3 is an honor in itself.
Yes, sir, it very much is. And just the pride that was seen through these kids' eyes on that night was just very impressive and very, very heartwarming as well.
So let's talk about, speaking of pride, let's talk about what's behind us. The first ever Division II Directors Cup. Paige wins that, man. I mean, I hope is as special as it was for me to get the award up and get it actually in from Bennett Awards. I mean, it looks fantastic. Let's talk about the pride that you feel as an athletic director, one, and two, the pride that the kids felt.
Well, just after it was over, the kids were coming to me wanting to have pictures taken with it, and I've already had kids contact me and email me wanting to know when it's going to be at the school. They want to come up and see it, and it's really nothing that I did. We try to provide that platform, but it's really accomplishment of the kids. They're the ones that work for this, and it's really all about the kids. And I'm hoping that the Page Patriot names will be all the way down those columns for years to come.
Well, as you can see, there is a perpetual plaque, and right now in the Division II ranks, Page is going against Fairview, soon to be Nolensville High School, and before you know it, Coach Rathbone, there may be another school in there as well. But right now it's you and Fairview, and like I said, soon to be added is Nolensville. The way we did this was we had a formula, and how you finished in each of these sports in your district, we compiled the points of that, and whoever had the most points at the end of the year won. And Page beat Fairview going away. Yeah,
and we got to credit a lot of the coaches that put in the time to train these kids, but the kids just extremely worked hard. The kids really didn't even know about this until it happened that night. We kind of kept it a secret, and just listen to their cheer and see them afterwards, and just the pride that they took having the pictures, and it was tweeted out all over Twitter, and all the kids commenting on it. It was just very impressive. I'm very happy for them.
Well, like you, the worst nightmare that I had after you're putting this event together is having a crowd that may be, I don't want to say dead, but not very vocal, very emotional, but throughout the night you could feel it building and feel it going. When we got to this point in time, which was the last award that we gave, when we named Page High School, because like you said, they did not have a clue that this was even really going to happen. And then when I named Page, they just erupted, and everybody was fired up. And I got you out of your comfort zone. You came up there in your tuxedo looking fantastic, and got the pictures. And like you said afterwards, some of my favorite pictures of the night, thanks to Southern Exposure Magazine, was the picture of you in the center behind this with all the Page representatives around it.
Yeah, and that, and again, the kids organized that, and that's what makes it special to me, is that the kids wanted that picture, and the kids want a single picture with a trophy. Of course, we had limited time on the stage because the other schools, you want to be respectful towards them. They're wanting pictures as well. So I mean, we took our limited time, but now they're wanting to come out to the school. So it's really their first time back to school since they graduated. They're no longer, they'll always be a Patriot, but they're no longer officially in the school. So just the fact that they want to come back up to school and spend time and have the pictures taken with a trophy, and that's really special. We want them to come back to our schools. We want them to continue to be a part of, whether it's a Raptor, a Patriot, a Cougar, whatever. They're always welcome back, and that's important to us.
Well, congratulations on winning the Director's Cup.
Thank you.
This will be in your building for the next 365 days. You can brag about it all the way through. I'm Jeremy Qualls, your host here for the WCS Sports Connection Game Day. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Books by S.R. Lee. Lined up again and again, stacked, straightened, stored, they break rank, twist a bit, slide an inch, swing round, turn their backs, push away, circle, wander to the porch, hide in a corner. How they resist the neat rows humans associate with their work, assume to be their duty. Given a chance, they may be as chaotic as their readers.